Hello everyone. Sorry if it's a little bright, but yeah, I'm gonna see if I can make this the finale. But either way, this is the next part to what if Grandpa Gohan didn't die? So last we left off, we had just finished off with the Buu saga. The Heaters, Granola, and even Broly were all dragged into this whole mess, this whole shebang, and we were about to jump into the 4-year time skip leading up to the events of Battle of Gods. Broly and Granola had decided to take up the Kais on their offering to train on the world of the Kais. The fighters of Earth have it under consideration, and the offer is always open to them whenever they so choose to take them up on it. And everyone is going back to their more domestic lives. Um, Tarble and Raditz have actually decided to settle on Granola's own home planet of Planet Cereal with Monito, and they're still going to be doing some work for the Galactic Patrol though. And yeah, let's go on ahead and jump into the meat of the 4-year time skip. So Gohan and Videl are actually going to be. Videl herself is actually going to be working as a martial arts instructor, assisting in her father's Satan Satan Castle dojo. She's going to be like the assistant instructor, and one day he's going to entrust the dojo to her when he decides to finally retire, which may be one day soon. Gohan himself is actually going to be continuing his education as a scholar. He's going to be publishing a. He's looking to publish a book, a manuscript on the fundamentals of ki and how it interacts with the body. So that's mainly going to be what he's studying in, as well as martial arts and how it relates. Since everyone else has been setting up their dojos, martial arts has become much more commonplace, and people have been making use of ki in the recent martial arts tournaments. So, with this resurgence of martial arts and the interest in ki and its capabilities, Gohan is definitely going to be able to make waves. But beyond this, Goku and Chi-Chi have kind of settled down in Orange City properly. Goten is going to be continuing his own education, going to public school alongside Trunks, who is his human best friend, and the dynamic because of this has shifted. Because of this, especially since Goten himself has two very rich grandfather, or he has a rich grandfather and a very rich uncle, and his own parents are pretty well off. They've been doing some. They set up like a proper company regarding Goku's older profession of radish farming. They've set up like a proper produce-based, like fruits and vegetable-based company where they reach out to all the farmers and basically out. They basically set up a company so that they can it makes it easier to make food deliveries not only out to importing foods and resources from the cities into the rural countryside areas, but also exporting them from the exporting fresh produce and more out there countryside resources into the cities. So yeah, they kind of do that. They kind of set that up with Bulma. They use some of her resources to kind of start that up, and they're all kind of settling into a domestic life. They don't really stop their training. They do keep it up, but they don't go super hard into it. Uh, Gohan and Goku want to evolve their Saiyan powers. They ended up mastering Super Saiyan 3 in their preparation for Buu. Once again, they went overkill. There's no kill quite like overkill for these people, for the people of this what if. And Chi-Chi and Videl actually had they decided to take up the training under the Kais alongside Piccolo. Piccolo, I'm actually gonna have it be interesting. Kami finally thinks that it's about time for him to hang up his cape and his staff, and he allows himself to be assimilated into Piccolo. So Piccolo himself is also now has the ability to unlock other people's potentials, and he has taken up the role as Earth's guardian. So Kami is retired, and he allows himself to be assimilated into Piccolo. Piccolo is now the new guardian of Earth, and him, Chi-Chi, and Videl decide to go train under the Kais. When they arrive there, they actually meet up with Broly, who himself has properly mastered his full power Super Saiyan, his legendary Super Saiyan, which is just what I'm gonna call it. He's properly mastered his legendary Super Saiyan state, and he's fighting against a an ultimate Granola, who had his own potential unlock when he accidentally broke the Z Sword during their training. Um, he also has his double red eyes, which are constant in his ultimate state. Whenever he's in his ultimate state, his double red eyes are constantly active, and they teleport there using instant transmission, and they they trade some introductions, and they decide to they greet one another, and they tell them that they're here to take up that offer on training. Piccolo wants to make sure he's the strongest possible guardian for Earth that he possibly can be, and he also wants to expand his magical abilities under the Kais. And Chi-Chi and Videl are of the same mind, especially when they end up meeting the Elder Kai. He does, maybe he tries to be a little pervy, but they shut that down pretty quickly, and they explain that they're here to get stronger. So the three of them end up having the ultimate or the potential unlock ritual done on them, and Piccolo actually learns how to do this, and he's able to make it much more quickly. He improves his own ultimate unlock, and he upgrades it to Elder Kai's version, but he doesn't have to do the dancing ritual for a whole bunch of hours. He just needs to still place his hand on your head, and he'll grant you the ultimate state. Not that he's going to be using it quite yet, but he does note that that'll be useful for the future, and it's not something that needs to be repeated. It just grants you this unlocked state where you're constantly able to work in your full power all the time, and increase how quickly you can grow in terms of power. So Videl and Chi-Chi are taking this so that they can keep up with their husbands, their Saiyan husbands, and Piccolo doesn't mind it. He gets his yellow state and his yellow ultimate state, and the three of them begin their training with Broly and Granola. Broly is looking to evolve his power since he's much more comfortable with it after all these years. After all these years, the years in the time chamber and his time here, he's looking to evolve his power a little bit, but he also wants to kind of finally get out of here. So let's say after a couple of months of this kind of training, they make their visits on and off, and they even get to Chi-Chi merges it with her magic state of her Ox Queen state, because it's not so much as a transformation. It is a transformation, but it's more magic based. So it's actually able to merge with the magic of the potential unlock state, and she unlocks her Mystic Ox Queen state. And Videl herself isn't really going to be getting too much of a transformation. Maybe she gets like a Satanist. Yeah, we can say like she gets a she devil state. She grows like some horns similarly to Chi Chi, but they're more devil, and they're more devil inspired. And yeah, that'll basically be it. She also increases her height. She actually ends up matching Gohan in terms of height. It's not as drastic as an increase in height as for Chi-Chi, who grows to be like 10 feet tall, but she does end up like nearly matching Gohan in terms of height. Her horns are able to cover that last little bit that his hair puts him at top of, because his hair makes him look a little taller. So her horns actually match to around the same height of her hair as his hair, and it makes her decent. It makes her much stronger. She's probably able to keep up with like his normal Super Saiyan. And Chi-Chi herself is probably able to keep up with some of Goku's like Super Saiyan 2. But Goku and Gohan have been training on Earth. They've been looking to evolve the Super Saiyan power, and seeing how Broly was able to merge Ikari and Super Saiyan, they want to see if they can, since they were never able to manage that on their own, they want to see if they can merge Super Saiyan and Uzaru. Maybe if they take it a step back, since it's clear that Broly himself had a much more natural affinity and an instinctive usage of Ikari, maybe they need to take it a step back to their own natural state of Uzaru. So they end up discovering the Golden Great Ape, they're quick to rein it in, and they end up developing Super Saiyan 4, which they then upgrade into Ultra Super Saiyan 4 when they use their magic to buff the form. They try to use it so that they can unlock a state similar to, like, they can never quite mix magic with Ikari or Super Saiyan, but here when they try to do it, they end up unlocking Ultra Super Saiyan 4. And yeah, not going to be too much different. The humans are the human masters: Tien, Yajirobe, Mark, Krillin, Yamcha, and Chaozu, they're still training people at their dojos. Um, Gohan, who has been studying, he's still studying in college. But let's say that thanks to all of his time in the chamber recently, he's able to pass for much older, so he's able to graduate early. I said before that he was like probably like 1 or 2 school years behind Videl, but his time in the time chamber, constantly keeping up with his studies, and even since he was spending so much time in there, he actually surpassed his high school education, and he was able to get into college very quickly and graduate, and he was able to publish his thesis to the world. So more and more people are being attracted to their main dojos. Maybe there are some smaller dojos, but uh, Krillin's new Turtle School Temple, the new Crane School Temple that Tien set up, the new Satan Castle that Mark that Hercule set up, and the new Ox Palace that Yajirobe set up with the help of Ox King. They're attracting in a lot of students. I mentioned before that Tien had twin girls. Now they're a couple years older, about the same age as Marin. They're 18 was luckily still able to get with Krillin. 17 and 16 are still settled down in their nature reserves, and 21 um, is still working with Capsule Corp. They're developing new technology to better improve the quality of life for people. So they've been using some of that space technology they got from Raditz, like the gravity chambers, the gravity-based technology. They're able to use it to, like, let's say, I don't know, better increase their space travel. They're branching out more into space a little bit more in their solar system. They don't give them quite yet the capability to travel the galaxy, but they are settling on, maybe they're doing some projects to settle on different planets. But overall, society is much more accepting and acknowledging of the, like, supernatural, whether it be science-based, key-based, or even magic-based. Um, because Videl herself is introducing some magic elements through Satan Castle. And it's not like the other humans. They learned some level of mystic capabilities, so they're teaching some of that kind of stuff. Nothing too great, though. But, sorry for the sudden pause. My sister needed to grab something, but, yeah, everyone is basically, the world is much more acknowledging of the supernatural. Of course, this might have some negative side effects for the future, but we'll just have to see, I suppose. Um, yeah, Broly and Granola eventually depart from the world of the Kais. They go to train. They go to meet up with Raditz. Raditz has been evolving his Super Saiyan 3 state and his usage of the Kaioken on top of it. But when he sees how powerful Broly and how powerful Broly and Granola have become, he actually tells them to basically take up his and Tarbal's work as they go to train under the Kais themselves. Um, they're not going to be unlocking the ultimate states, but they are going to be training, basically using the world of Kais as a training ground. And maybe they even end up meeting with, maybe the Saiyans end up sensing their energy popping in closer. I don't even know how they're able to sense, like, ki in the other world and the world of the Kais. But maybe they sense their energies, and Goku and Gohan check in on them. They're like, oh, it's good. And maybe even Goten decides to tag along. He's been pestering Goku and Gohan to teach him how to go Super Saiyan 4. And perhaps when he hears about, perhaps since they end up meeting up with Raditz and Tarbal, they actually hear about this. What's this Super Saiyan 4? They've made another jump in power? And they quickly show off their Super Saiyan 4 states. And Goten is like, yeah, you have to show us that. Come on, come on. All three of us are here. You got to show us. And they decide why the hell not. So they start with Tarbal, since he's really in need of a power up. He has been training Super Saiyan 3 with Raditz, but he hasn't been going as hard since he had a kid recently. But they do end up training the state, and Raditz and Tarbal are able to attain it, as is Goten. And Goten then tells them, like, they need to show him the other one. And it doesn't really, bring about a physical change, but they can tell that it's much more powerful. Ultra Super Saiyan 4. And I'm like, you're going to have to use some magic, though. We use our magics to bring the absolute full power from it completely to the forefront. Or completely to the forefront of the transformation. And hearing this, Elder Kai steps in. He's like, perhaps I can help with that. And he ends up doing the potential unlock ritual on them so that they can attain Ultra Full Power Super Saiyan 4. It ends up doing the same thing that Goku and Gohan had to do manually. And they train the forms, they get used to them. It's obvious Goku and Gohan once again have the head and the advantage. And even Goten himself is about equal with Raditz. But Goku, Gohan, and Goten end up deciding to go back home, and they actually invite Tarbell and Raditz. Raditz decides to join them, but Tarbell says he still needs to go home. Maybe he'll collect his family and they can all visit. And they have some nice domestic value. We have like a nice domestic little event where they like just get together, have a little barbecue amongst Goku's family, amongst the Saiyan families. And maybe they ask like, how were Broly and Granola when we last saw them? Chi Videl, and Piccolo told us that they saw him training at the World of the Kais. We were kind of hoping to catch him there, and they're like, oh yeah, they went back to the Galactic Patrol. They're getting settled in with them, and they're going to be taking up some missions. And they're like, oh, that's cool, that's good to hear. So yeah, we got a lot of good feels, a lot of good feels in this timeline. Um, Hell, we can even have Goku take Raditz over to Grandpa Gohan's old place. He's like, yeah, I come here every once in a while to pay my respects, especially on the anniversary of his passing. And he ends up sharing some stories more about his childhood. They properly share some stories between the two of them of their childhood. Raditz more so of his time on Planet Vegeta with their parents. And he tells them what they were like from his memories and from what he heard stories being told about the two of them. Not so much about Gene, but more so about Bardock and his great fighting ability, his power, and all that kind of stuff. They have a lot of good brother bonding. We got some sibling bonding moments, and eventually we do get to the point of Bulma's birthday party. It's being celebrated. Everyone is there. All of the humans. They took a break from the dojos. They closed down the dojos for the day so that they could celebrate on her yacht. And Yamcha's there. They have their baby Trunks and baby Bola, or Kid Trunks. He's about the same age as Goten, and he's actually kind of lording over the fact that he's able to grow normally, whereas Saiyans have to grow in growth spurts. So he's actually taller than Goten. He's lording that over him a little bit, and Marin and the Launch and Tien's twin girls are following them around. Um, but beyond that, it's just like a really good party. No Majin Buu, but we do have the androids showing up. Um, like I said, they ended up taking up their human names, or specifically 16 took the name of the Jiro son that he was named after. So Jebo, Vomi, who is 21, Lapis and Lazuli, they arrive with their families. We actually get to see a little bit of Android 17's family, so you can insert that here. I'm pretty sure it was like he had a wife and two kids. I can't remember. I know he had a kid. I know he had a few kids at least. I'm pretty sure it was plural when he mentioned kids. But yeah, we actually get to see them. He's like, I always wanted to take him on a boat, so this is cool. And yeah, they have all that nice domestic, all the nice fun things. But and even Piccolo himself, he stepped down as guardian for the day. He's having Popo watch in his stead. And Popo himself is definitely very powerful. Not super uber powerful like everyone else, but he's decently powerful. Chi-Chi and Videl are actually talking with like all of the other human martial arts instructors, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we underwent this ritual. We trained with the Kais." And they're like, "Huh? We kind of thought about going, but we kind of decided to let things go on to the next generation." Yajirobe has fully grown out his beard. Actually, Yajirobe is rocking that cool ass beard. Um, Hercule himself is much the same, and Krillin and Tien are still keeping themselves nice and bald. Yamcha has grown out his hair fully once more, and they're all in their more relaxed outfits. Instead of their full blown like combat gi, they're more in like Tien is in that outfit he had throughout Super. The longer robes. Chaozu is much of the same. He has that similar kind of outfit, the black and red outfit on top with the with the white sleeves and pants. Ooh, Krillin is kind of rocking. He's rocking like a much more a longer gi, kind of similar to what Goku had in Super, where like or where he what kind of I don't know how to describe it, but if you can search up like Krillin DBZ redesign, because there's like this one outfit I saw that looked cool. Okay, it's like that outfit if you search up Jimmy Sparrow Krillin redesign. That's kind of what he has. Or there's another cool outfit where he has a Dragon Ball Super redesign where he's wearing like brown orange gi pants, a blue shirt, kind of like what Goku wore at the end of Z, and he has that shorter haircut that kind of spikes up and a beard. So you can kind of imagine however you want, but he's not in his standard outfit. He's kind of evolved it a little bit, so you can kind of give him whatever you want. But yeah, his outfit's evolved a little. Yamcha is in that same outfit he had in Super, but he actually looks confident and cool. And yeah, Hercule is around the same. Oh, Jimmy Sparrow's art is so cool. I love how they look. But and Goku himself is in his End of Z outfit. Chi Chi is in the outfit she had in the animation um, Legend of a Dragon Ball Tale. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard about that by now. She's in that outfit, the red and gold outfit with the red and gold kipao. I believe that's what it's called, the red and gold kipao with the white pants. And Gohan himself is in kind of like probably like in a more relaxed civilian clothes, but he could also be in like a relaxed gi like purple gi pants like Piccolo and a turtle hermit shirt gi top. Um, yeah, he'll have like Goku shirt, Piccolo pants, basically. Um, and Videl herself is in a martial arts outfit. She's not having her hair. It's not in like that weird outfit that like she has in Super. I don't really know how to describe it. She doesn't have that weird haircut in Super. Um, she's kind of had like she's let her hair grown out a little bit, but she keeps it tied up in like how would Videl have her hair? Because I really like the shorter cut that she had throughout at the end of the Buu saga. Maybe she's kept that. She's she's refined it a little. She's kind of grown into the haircut. Maybe she has it a little longer. Maybe she doesn't. You can kind of imagine whatever you want for her. And she has a noticeable baby bump. Here, Pan is a little further along in her development since Bola was born so much earlier. She's like a newborn. She's like a few months old, and yeah, and Pan is actually she's like a few months in. Maybe she's like 5 6 months pregnant. So here she's like 5 6 months pregnant. It's not at all a surprise, and we can even say that they made a call. They made a call out to Goku wanted to invite Raditz, but he knows that he's busy with his work with the Galactic Patrol. But he'll probably invite him soon for Videl's baby shower with little Pan. Gohan wasn't able to. Gohan isn't as insistent about saying stuff as Goku and Raditz were, so they're not gonna have a Saiyan name, which might upset him a little bit. But either way, he wants Raditz to be there, and so does Gohan. So they're gonna send that invitation out soon. Bring the rest of the Saiyans and Granola out to invite them to Earth, and yeah. But then we do end up getting Beerus awakening. He awakens, and when he's told about the surviving Saiyans, he is told that currently there is there are two Saiyans and a Cerulean working under the Galactic Patrol. Another one is actually on planet Serial with a Namekian, and the last three remaining, are two half Saiyans and their father on planet Earth. And he asks who does he want to see, and he's like, well, check out this lone Saiyan on planet Serial. Let's go check him out. And they end up meeting Tarble. He's relaxing with his family on planet Serial with Monito. Um, his kids are chilling with Grandpa Monito, and they're confronted by Beerus. It's possible Tarble may just know him by name. He didn't see him like Vegeta did, but it's possible he knows him by name, and he is very intimidated. But when he's asked about the Super Saiyan God, he's like, I don't know about the Super Saiyan God, but I can tell you everything I know about Super Saiyan. And he shows him his Super Saiyan forms and his full power Super Saiyan 4. And this is definitely, even with his lax training, he's actually more powerful than Super Saiyan 3 Goku was from canon. He's able to put up much better of a fight, and he's like, I suppose I'll have to see about those other Saiyans. And by now, the Kais are aware of Beerus's movements. So when Beerus and Whis end up leaving to go find Goku or Broly and Raditz, as well as Granola, the Kais actually teleport to Tarble. They heal him, or Monito heals him up, and the Kais quickly arrive. They apologize for everything that's happening, and he asks who the hell what. He was like, "Is that really who he thinks it is? Was that Beerus the Destroyer?" And they're like, "Yes, we may need your help. It's best if you come with us." Tarble is definitely worried for his family, but he tells him to stay here with Monito, and he tells Monito himself to be ready to use the Dragon Balls. They don't know what might happen, but it's best that they have them on standby. And Monito himself agrees. He has no idea who this god of destruction is, but just from the name alone and from the power he displayed against Tarble, it's clear he's a very serious possible threat. He tells them to look out for Granola and Broly and Raditz and to be careful, and that they may need to get in contact with their friends on Earth. Tarble is of the same mind, and he leaves with the Kais. Beerus is now confronting Broly and Granola and Raditz. They've just taken care of, maybe they take care of the 7-3 stuff. In canon, Granola took care of like all of the creator of 7-3 and all of his clones that he was trying to make. So they end up finding him a little bit earlier, and they take care of him. And surprisingly enough, Mirrors is there with them. He's taken an interest in these very powerful mortals, and he's been training with them and hanging around them, and he's made decent friends with them. But then Beerus shows up, and he has to pretend that he doesn't know anything. Beerus almost blows his cover, but Whis ends up intervening, telling him that isn't he looking for the Super Saiyan God? And so he questions them. They don't really know anything, but Raditz ends up showing off the same transformation, full power Super Saiyan 4, although he is much, much more powerful, and his usage of the Kaioken puts him well above what Tarble was capable of. So he actually decently impresses Beerus once more, but he's like, perhaps there's something there, but it's not quite God Key. Your power and potential is great, but it's not what I'm looking for. And he ends up knocking out Raditz. Or at least he tries to. He manages to barely stay conscious after the hit, but he's definitely he's definitely down for the count. Broly, seeing this, powers up into his full power Super Saiyan. And I'm not going to give him like a full power Super Saiyan 2. That would make him dumb OP. Yeah, I'm actually going to give it to him. He's unlocked his own version of Super Saiyan 2, and he goes into it, and he's even more powerful than what Raditz was. Not more powerful than his Kaioken, but more powerful than his normal full power Super Saiyan transformation. And he ends up charging against Beerus, and he's able to give him a much better fight, especially with how quickly his power grows. He's about to put him out for the count, but Broly tells him to wait. This isn't the limit to his power. He then powers up into his own version of Super Saiyan 3, and he's able to close the gap even better than before. He's starting to land solid hits on Beerus, and Beerus is actually having a lot of fun. He didn't know that he could grow, that there was a mortal who could grow to such power. And Broly himself is actually enjoying the fight. He's having a lot of fun. And this is when Granola decides to tag team him. Beerus is initially a little annoyed, but he can see that this Cerulean has a great amount of potential. He seems to be using a similar power to what those Super Saiyan 4s were using, unleashing all of this power at once through some kind of mystic power. He's intrigued, and especially when he's able to keep up with him and Broly at this level of power at least. So he's having a lot of fun, and he asks him if he can use that furry transformation that the other Saiyans were using, and he's like, no, not yet. I haven't quite gotten to that power. I never thought I would need it. I never thought I would need my own version of that power. And Beerus is a little disappointed. He's like, you really should have gone for that level of power. I thought you Saiyans were all power-hungry battle maniacs. And Broly clarifies, he likes fighting. It's fun, but he also likes eating food and traveling with his friends. It's not something he lives for. It's just something that he enjoys. And Broly himself is Beerus is definitely a little peeved, but he's like, oh well, I suppose I'll have to go see what those other Saiyans have. You, though, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on you. He then leaves towards Earth, and when they quickly hear this, they wonder if Tarble is okay. Luckily, once more, Tarble and the Kais are just a few steps behind Beerus. They had to fill in Tarble a little bit more at the realm of the Kais, and they were watching the battle. So they teleport in, they tell him everything, they get everyone healed up, and they're ready to move out. Although the Kais do kind of linger when their gaze lingers on Mirrors for a minute. They're not really sure if they should blow his cover or not by proclaiming Mirrors. The fact that he's an angel, similarly to Whis, but he just gives like a like a don't say anything and they decide to leave it at that. Mirrors tells him that he can handle the report. He can tell them that that the mission was interfered by and they had to go help out the Kais, who the Galactic Patrol, if they're aware of Moro and Majin Buu and all that kind of stuff, they're definitely aware of the gods and Beerus and stuff. So like, yeah, don't worry, we can excuse this. You go on ahead and go help your friends on Earth. We'll handle things here. So they go to teleport to Earth, and they actually managed to get there before Beerus and Whis, since their teleportation is instant. The only reason they arrived late was because they decided to stick back and see what would happen. They hoped that maybe he was talking about Broly and his unique transformation, but apparently that's not what he was looking for. So they get to Earth, and they initially everyone is festive, but they can quickly notice they're quick to notice the very somber mood, the very serious faces that they have on. They ask, "What's going on?" And they explain Beerus. They explain who he is, and they're like, "Well, what can we do?" And they're looking for the Super Saiyan God, right? And they're like, "Yeah." And Goku and Gohan once again share a look with, and this time they share it with Piccolo and Chi Chi. They're like, "Yeah, you remember that ritual we were telling you before? How we had that secret plan?" And they're like, "Oh, right. I forgot you told us about that." They had kind of forgotten. They had never really thought about it, especially with all the training they did throughout the hyperbolic time chamber. It was something that they only mentioned once and vaguely as a backup plan in case they needed it against Boo and that their training didn't work. But the training ended up working, and they did a lot of training in the hyperbolic time chamber, so it kind of slipped from their minds that they had already heard about it. Maybe some of them kind of vaguely remembered it. Maybe like Raditz or Tarble could have like vaguely recalled what the hell he was talking about, but Granola and Broly definitely didn't remember. But either way, they decide to jump. They kind of decide to jump the gun, and here they don't really need Videl to participate. She's able to sit back. They don't even know if it would work. Possibly it would, but they don't. Since they don't really need to, they decide to use the ritual on Gohan so that they can have their Super Saiyan God ready and waiting for Beerus when he arrives. And beyond that, they don't know how the Super Saiyan God transformation will affect Broly and his own unique Super Saiyan transformations. It may cause something that Beerus may like, because he is already aware of the fact that Broly is so powerful, but he also may be disappointed. So they don't want to risk it. They use the ritual on Gohan, and as he finally completely emerges from that little blue shell that formed around him, that formed around Goku in the movie, Beerus arrives. And he is stunned by the magnitude of this godly power. He can tell, they could kind of tell that it was only just being formed somehow. He was only just recently became a god, and he briefly explains that they kind of were already aware of what the Super Saiyan God was. There was a ritual that they read about in the Namekian Book of Legends, which they had read through with permission from Shenron, the dragon from their Dragon Balls. And they ended up telling him like they were able to create one, and he is now here to face off against Beerus. And they have their battle. It's very climactic. It's much more. Beerus has used a lot more power, even than he used against Broly, and definitely much more than he used against Super Saiyan God Goku in canon. Um, he's able to keep up evenly with Beerus, at least seemingly, and when he falls out of the transformation, instead of instinctively jumping to Super Saiyan, he instinctively jumps up to full power Super Saiyan 4. And when he gets to that final end of the battle, where he's trying to push the giant sphere that Beerus launches at him, that big old fireball, his entire form of Super Saiyan 4 briefly flickers red. A flame briefly flickers, and he briefly jumps into, unknowingly to him, Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4. and he ends up dispersing the attack and absorbing it into himself so that he can unleash a full power times 10 Masen Kamehameha, a fusion of the Masenko and the Kamehameha, where he places it above his head, then combines it into his palms like a Kamehameha. He goes Masen Kamehame, and then he unleashes it. It's a bright red and yellow beam that damn near that actually causes Beerus to have some burn marks when he has to protect himself. He crosses his arms, and when he rests his arms, he's actually covered in a few burn marks, and he's like, "That was decently impressive, but it seems like that's all you have. Nevertheless, I'm impressed. You and your planet gets to live, for now at least, so long as you continue to impress me the way you have." And he then settles Gohan down, and he tells them, specifically more so Broly and Gohan, that he looks forward to seeing how well they can grow in the future. He'll be getting into contact with them soon enough. And everyone is kind of worried as to what the hell that meant. But Whis does end up making his appearance on Earth once again. Um, Raditz, everyone kind of goes back to their lives. Raditz and Tarble, Broly, and Granola are going to be training with Miras, who they did kind of notice, specifically Granola, that there were a few times where he seemed to share some odd looks with Beerus and Whis and then the Kais. So he actually ends up asking him like, "What the hell was that?" before. I never really got the chance, but I want to ask, "What the hell was that earlier?" And he ends up explaining the fact that he's an angel, and much like Whis, an attendant to the god of destruction. And if they want to get stronger, he can instruct them in the ways of God Ki. So Raditz and Broly are going to be training. Broly is actually going to be training to go into Super Saiyan 4 and his own variant of it, whereas Raditz and Tarble are going to be training under him to learn how to use God Ki and go into Super Saiyan God and maybe adapt it to their Super Saiyan 4 states. Granola himself also wants to learn God Ki, see if he can use it to power up his ultimate state, whereas on Earth, not going to be too much changing. Goku and Gohan are going to be training against one another. Gohan is going to learn how to reactivate the power of Super Saiyan God, and and through exposure, Goku is going to be able to learn how to use Super Saiyan God for himself. And similarly to how Raditz and Tarbo want to learn, they want to learn how to adapt it into their Super Saiyan 4 states. Um, they try starting from the ground up using basic Super Saiyan, and they briefly unlock a power where a blue tint seems to mix with their Super Saiyan auras, and they seem to be able to use this in Super Saiyans 1 through 3, although they can't quite get it to work for Super Saiyan 4. The blue tint isn't there, but they can tell that the power is resting. It seems they need to cross some kind of barrier. And they end up going into the time chamber to try to discover what it is that's blocking them, and they end up stumbling upon Super Saiyan Blue. Since they don't have proper instruction, this actually takes them a few trips into the time chamber to properly get down. But when they eventually manage to unlock Super Saiyan God, to like re-unlock Super Saiyan God, it's pretty easy from there. And but their main focus is adapting it into Super Saiyan 4, which Goku ends up learning. He's gonna learn more about Super Saiyan Blue under Whis, with permission from his wife, who's going to be upping her training with Videl and Piccolo, as well as Gohan. He is going to be going to the to Beerus's planet. He's actually going to be the only one going there. This kind of disappoints Beerus, but it's not like Gohan can't pop in and take some instruction every once in a while, mainly on weekends when he's not working, um, and especially when he's not spending some time with his newborn daughter. But either way, we get into the events of Resurrection F. Frieza is resurrected, or at least they try to. So instead of doing that weird thing where they don't stop the Frieza Force for whatever reason, the Frieza Force is whatever remains of it is completely stopped, and they actually Gohan. They're stopped by Chi-Chi and Videl, who were sent by Piccolo, and Piccolo actually gets into contact with he gets into contact with the Kais, who help put him into contact with Raditz and all of them, and they're like, "Yeah, do you mind taking down the rest of the Frieza Force? I thought you would have done that by now." He's like, "Oh, there were members left of the Frieza Force. We thought we took down everyone. No, there was like a small cell specifically led, like only like a that one of those ships worth of like crew and soldiers, led by specifically by Barry Blue. They attempted. It was like a last ditch effort. This was the only place they knew where Dragon Balls existed, so they tried to sneak in, but it did not work, and they were wiped out. No resurrection of everyone, no Golden Frieza, and they're gonna go uninterrupted until the Universe 6 tournament. So when we get ready for this tournament, it's going to be and Goku, Gohan, Videl, Chi-Chi, and Piccolo. That's about all they're gonna really need. They're able to take the day off. They Pan is gonna have like a little play date with Bulla. She's gonna be in Capsule Corp with everyone, and Goten is gonna be tasked with babysitting her and helping Bulma. So Goten and Pan are going to be visiting and staying at Capsule Corp while the rest of his family goes to take care of this Universe 6 tournament. And it is laughably easy. The first to go up is Chi-Chi, who, similarly to how when she faced off against Frieza, is able to completely take down Frost. She pressures him into transforming, and she doesn't even need to go into her ultimate state, her Mystic Ox Queen. She doesn't even need to go Mystic Ox Queen, and in base alone, with some liberal use of the Kaioken, is able to take down Final Form Frost. Doesn't even get poisoned. Takes down Magetta, or she actually decides to swap with Videl. Videl decides to take down Magetta, and she's very easily able to get through to, is able to insult him, and takes him out. Gohan decides to face off against Kaba, and he teaches him how to go Super Saiyan, and he's impressed. He's able to learn very quickly, almost as quickly as Goten did. He's probably around the same level as Goten. He kind of thinks that to himself. He's around Goten's level. And he powers up. He's like, it's clear that the Universe 6 Saiyans don't have tails, and while he's intrigued about it, he instead decides to show him the power of Super Saiyan 3. He briefly goes into Super Saiyan, then he shows him Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 before blitzing him and gut checking him. And he sends Kaba flying out of the ring. And then I'm pretty sure, oh, and Botama was an absolute breeze. Yeah. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. And then we get the fight against Hit. Gohan is able to pressure him with the power of Super Saiyan, full power Super Saiyan 4, and he even goes into his God state to finish the job. Although Hit is just barely able to evolve so that he can keep up, but maybe he ends up getting Gohan out. He gives him a lot of pain, and it's more pain than Gohan has ever really dealt with. Sure, he's gotten hurt in spars and training. It's not like that was ever easy, but it's never really been in a battle where he was actually hurt. So it definitely takes him off guard, and maybe we can say that he ends up getting ringed out. But Videl and Chi-Chi decide to help try to better expose fighting style, so they offer themselves up to the plate. Videl goes first, and she very easily gets washed. But she definitely put up a decent, valiant effort, utilizing her martial arts skill and her magical abilities, and caught Hit off once or twice, but not enough that he would lose. Chi-Chi puts up a much better fight with her insane usage of the Kaioken on top of her Mystic Ox Queen, but similarly she ends up losing, and this is where Piccolo decides to finally step in. He steps in his he's gonna have his if you've watched Plus Ultraman, What If Piccolo Turned Good Early, he's gonna have that Namekian Warrior God mode. Dragon Warrior God mode. Or Dragon Warrior mode, where he ends up taking on a transformation similar to Shenron. So he's gonna have some red Namekian God eyes, which is something from like one of the games where Namekian gods have red eyes. He's also gonna get those Shenron antlers, and his antennae are gonna be long and wispy, kind of like Shenron's like whiskers, his little mustache whisker thing. And he's also gonna have a tail. He's gonna have a tail that starts from like the end of his back. It's gonna have those same kind of frills and ridges that Shenron has all along his body. And with it, he's able to take down He also stacks his ultimate state on top of it, so his skin turns yellow, and he's able to take down Hit with absolute ease. He's already able to pick apart his fighting style, and once again, Goku is sadly blue walled. Not gonna last for long though. So Goku Black Arc doesn't happen. There was no time travel, so Zamasu has no reason to get pissy. Maybe he tries to kill. Maybe he does still try to kill Gowasu, but he's taken care of eventually by his by the warriors of his universe, and if not that, then by either by the Angel of Universe 10 or by Zeno himself. Um, they end up yeah, Zamasu is not going to be an issue. We can even say that he doesn't even get that that moment. He doesn't have that moment where he tries to kill Gowasu. He just doesn't have the balls to do it. So yeah, maybe he is pissed that there's all these mortals making use of godly power, but it's not really gonna be able to do anything. If he does end up killing Gowasu and gets his immortality and tries to swap bodies with someone, he's gonna be easily taken care of by everyone around him. Whether he tries to take Gohan's body or Goku's body, even Videl would be able to handle him. She wouldn't die so easily to go to Gohan Black. She's actually able to. Okay, we're gonna have some fun. Fuck it, we're gonna have some fun. So he decides to take Gohan's body due to the fact that he was the main Saiyan and the strongest user of power of godly power. He recognized that even if he was technically of a lower station, Piccolo was still a god, a guardian of a planet, even if he is kind of sickened with all of the people on Earth and all of their power. Um, he is quickly stopped by Videl, who is able to notice very quickly the odd change in outfit and his demeanor and ki. He's able to hold Gohan Black off and bring Pan with her and retreat to the Sun family residence, where Goku is quick to confront this imposter. Gohan, meanwhile, is kind of freaking out while in Zamasu's body. He takes a few moments to get used to the odd way his ki is now flowing before trying to teleport. He tries to make use of the instant transmission and he accidentally uses the Kai Kai. He ends up teleporting to Gowasu, who is confused as to his change in outfit. Or I just realized the way they body swapped. Oh no, no. So Gohan would be okay. Sorry, I have to kind of redo this. Gohan would now have Zamasu's body, but his own clothes. He would still be in the San family residence, and he kind of briefly freaks out. They're all briefly freaking out before Gohan ends up arriving. Gohan Black, and here he's still stopped by Videl, and here Gohan actually has to retreat with Pan to Goku and Chi Chi's place. They're kind of confused as to why this Kai-looking person is here in Gohan's clothes, but he quickly explains. Somehow he ended up swapping bodies with someone. He thinks it's a Kai because of the Patara earrings that he still has, or maybe he doesn't. But he's just from the looks and the imposter who looks like him. He had the appearance and the clothing of a Supreme Kai. So they're kind of confused, but they're eventually able to bring down Gohan Black. Goten himself is actually kind of pissed that someone would steal his brother's body, so he goes into Super Saiyan, full power Super Saiyan 4, and barges into the battle between Videl and Gohan Black. He's quickly beginning to take the he's quickly beginning to take the lead in terms of power, but when Goten arrives in full power Super Saiyan 4, he uses a move similar to Gotenks' Galactic Donuts. It's something him and Trunks ended up coming up with themselves, and it's a shared technique between the two of them. He uses it on him, and he's able to pin him to a wall, and they're able to keep him down. Piccolo is quick to gather the Dragon Balls, and they make a wish to reverse it, and it's quickly able to be done. It's not that hard. I don't know why Zamasu even went through all the trouble of using these Super Dragon Balls to swap bodies when he could have done that with a basic set. But whatever, it's whatever. They end up switching back into their respective bodies, and Goku himself pulls out a technique he learned from that he was luckily able to learn from Grandpa Gohan before his passing. He pulls out the Mafuba. He seals him into an urn that he kind of just created on the fly. Used some rocks and used like a matter changing magic ability to change it into a proper seal and to change it into a proper jar and seal. And they sealed him away. And they end up taking him to Beerus's place, and they explain everything that happened. And he's kind of like, that's interesting, whatever. And he ends up taking him to Universe 10, where they get things sorted out. Maybe they make another wish on Shenron to resurrect the people he killed, specifically Gowasu, and as a result, the God of Destruction of Universe 10. And yeah, things are taken care of. Oh, and Zeno still showed up at the end of the Universe 6 tournament, and he still wants the Tournament of Power to happen. So it's going to happen, and they call for the Zen exhibition match, which is gonna go about the same, but here they actually decide to bring in Broly, Raditz, and Tarble, or Broly, Raditz, and Granola. Tarble is once again spending some time with his family. He's been training, but not that much. He's not really interested in godly power. He's good with his full power Super Saiyan 4. Raditz himself has been trying to merge the powers of godly ki that he's learned from Mirrors with Super Saiyan 4. Hasn't had too much luck. He has instead also discovered Super Saiyan Blue, and has been trying to evolve the power. He hasn't quite gotten there yet, but he's close. Granola himself has actually taken very well to the teachings of Mirrors in relying on one's instinct. His own perception is very great, so he's already very good in learning from the fighting style of Mirrors, the way he predicts other people's movements and allows his body to kind of naturally flow. It's something he's taking great. He's very good at. But Raditz himself is a bit of an overthinker. He's a very strategic fighter, so he's not really so good at letting go and letting his thoughts leave himself. So he's actually been thinking about going a different path. Whereas Broly himself has finally attained Super Saiyan 4 and Legendary Super Saiyan 4, Full Power Super Saiyan 4. And it's very, very frighteningly powerful just with how far he's come with just Mortal Ki. Even though he's been training with Mirrors, he hasn't taken very well to learning about God Ki. He's been able to grow fine just on his own. And yeah, it's going to be those three, Granola, Broly, and Raditz, decide to take part in the Zen exhibition match. And Zeno is actually fine with this. He wants to see what Goku's brother can do. And he ends up pulling out they're able to take on the Trio de Danger with frightening ease. But Toppo ends up hearing that this is the brother of the man who gave Zeno this whole idea. So he confronts Raditz, and Raditz ends up answering him. They fight against one another. He starts in full power Super Saiyan 4, but he quickly realizes it's not enough. So he goes into Super Saiyan Blue. He tries to use Kaioken on top of it. He's not as good as Goku. And instead he decides to he briefly considers pulling out that other power that he has, but the fight ends up ending. He's about equal with Toppo as things are, and Toppo makes it clear he's not even the strongest fighter, so they're going to have to bring a lot more than this. Although he briefly looks at Broly and Worry, as well as Granola, he could tell they were hiding a lot of power. So he ends up leaving, and we get ready for the Tournament of Power. And things are going to be very different. The humans have decided that they're not really going to take part. They don't really need to. And they have a lot of faith in their friends that they'll be able to handle this. So here is going to be the team. Goku, Raditz, Piccolo, Tarble, Gohan, Goten, Chi-Chi and Videl. Yeah. Goku, Piccolo, Gohan, Raditz, Tarble, Goten, Chi-Chi and Videl, Granola, and Broly. So it's very much the Saiyan show with their family. It's a lot of the Saiyans and their family and extended family. They're gonna be the ones participating as the 10 members and fighters of for Universe 7. And Gohan himself he hasn't really unlocked Super Saiyan Blue. Goku has, and he's been developing his Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken for all this time. But after the incident where Zamasu briefly wandered around in his body, he's noticed that God Ki has come much more naturally to him. He ended up developing his own Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan state in Super Saiyan Rose. So Gohan is actually going to have access to Super Saiyan Rose thanks to a natural God and natural God Ki having taken residence in his body for a brief time. So he's going to have Super Saiyan Rose be kind of like his ultimate trump card in terms of power and be it his ultimate form. And yeah, we get into the Tournament of Power. Videl and Chi-Chi are actually going to be teaming up. Despite the normal synergy that they would have had with their husbands, they've been training a lot recently. So they team up with one another. Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo are going to kind of be splitting up. Broly and Granola are going to be teaming up, as is Raditz and Tarble. Tarble and Raditz are going to be the main ones to face off against most of Universe 6. They're able to Granola himself also he involves himself in the battle against Hit, and he actually takes him out with. They're able to, they trade some blows. Their fighting styles are pretty similar, but Granola is able to take the win. He's able to beat Hit out of the arena, and Caulifla, and Kale end up facing off against Tarble, Raditz, and Broly. Broly actually helps coach Kefla through her transformation, and Caulifla and Kaba end up unlocking Super Saiyan 2. Kaba is then taken down by Tarble, and here it's a much more respectable relationship than even what Vegeta and Kaba had in canon. Tarble's personality meshes up much more well with Kaba's. He very much acknowledges him as a warrior, and a very powerful one at that, and a righteous one too. But he does end up taking him out, showcasing Super Saiyan 3, telling him this is what he needs to strive for next. Raditz does something similar for Caulifla, and we're not going to get Kefla here. Caulifla and Kefla are taken down by Raditz and Broly. Broly himself goes into full power Super Saiyan 2, and tells Kefla that she should, or tells Kale that this is the kind of power she should go for next, to evolve it similarly to the traditional line of Super Saiyan transformations. So these three Saiyans are taken down. Piccolo ends up taking down the Universe 6 Namekians. He's able to take them down by himself with absolute easy ease. He folds them like some Saturday laundry. And most of the Pride Troopers are taken down by the Galactic Patrol members in Raditz, Kaba, Broly, and Granola. And here, Raditz, once again, he gets his rematch with Toppo, and he shows off Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, which he is able to use. He's even able to push it and use Kaioken on top of it. And here he's able to take down Toppo. Dispo is actually sniped by Granola before being punted out of the ring by Broly. I really don't like Dispo. He's so annoying. But he's punted out of the ring by Dispo, or by Broly. And Anilaza is actually taken down by Goten and Gohan. They team up and they pressure that universe of what are androids. I think that was like Universe 9. They fuse into Anilaza, and they're taken down by Goten and Gohan. Goku ends up confronting and facing off against Jiren, and it's gonna be a very, very interesting battle with how much more stronger he is. He's able to use his full power Super Saiyan 4 to briefly spar against him, and then he goes into Super Saiyan Blue, then he goes into Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, and then he stacks his Kaioken times 50 on top of it. This pushes him much farther than ever before, and he even uses Spirit Fission in the battle, which, like I mentioned before, Goku and Gohan, they do have access to all of these Yardratian techniques that Chi-Chi herself had also picked up, that Chi-Chi and Piccolo picked up in the other world from way back in the Saiyan Saga. And they're able to separate a lot of Jiren's energy from him. He's losing power quickly, which he notices, and Chi-Chi herself has been focusing all of that power, and everyone themselves lend a lot of power to the Spirit Bomb. Goku ends up teleporting away from Jiren before he can properly retaliate, and backs up Chi-Chi in launching the spirit bomb towards Jiren. And when he ends up returning the spirit bomb and he has to use both hands, he's struggling against it since it has a decent amount of his own power. But he ends up briefly flaring into his full power state, and Goku makes the decision to push Chi-Chi out of the way, and he tries to contain the spirit bomb. Chi-Chi is a little pissed that that her husband tried doing such a sacrificial move before being very worried when it collapses in on itself and explodes. And then we get Ultra Instinct Omen Goku, which Granola is going to be very much paying attention to, and Raditz is going to be stunned by. So this is the power that Miras was alluding to. He's interested, but he's not entirely sure if this kind of fighting style is going to be good for him. Before Goku is then completely, blinked away, Gohan ends up entering the fray in his own full power Super Saiyan state, full power Super Saiyan 4 state, and he teleports Goku over to his mother and Videl, who are going to be healing him, or Chi-Chi and Piccolo are going to be healing him. Videl is going to be she tells him that she's going to be taking care of some of the other fodder universes, and focuses on Gohan, tells him to win this thing, which he agrees to. He then powers up into Super Saiyan Rose, showing it off for the first time, and its power rivals that of Goku, of what he just displayed with Ultra Instinct. He then charges forward and he begins fighting against Jiren, and is very even. Piccolo was quick to intervene and to jump into the battle himself. Goten is sharing his energy with his father to assist Chi-Chi in helping his father recuperate, and he's quick to get back up onto his feet. He wants to jump back into the battle, but he knows he can't quite interfere just yet. Gohan and Piccolo are making full use of the Kaioken on top of their godly transformations, and they are whooping Jiren's ass. He tries to go full power, and he does briefly power up into it. In response, Piccolo only powers up into his orange Namekian god state, or warrior god state, which just is the same. Is basically just merging orange Piccolo and warrior god Piccolo. So he's gonna be orange Piccolo with a tail, some scales. His arms are actually gonna have the scales. I noticed that Orange Piccolo actually has smooth arms wherever he doesn't have those weird patches. I don't even know what they're called, but he doesn't have like all the lines down his arms. They're smooth. Here, instead, it's gonna be riddled with scales. He's gonna have very long claws, and he's gonna be a much more ferocious fighter. And with the Kaioken stacked on top of his Orange Piccolo state, his Super Kaioken times 10, he looks like an absolute raging red-skinned demon. Which Videl is she's like, aw man, I wish my demon state looked like that. She's definitely going to have to up her training after all this. But everyone begins joining into the battle, launching support attacks. Videl and Chi-Chi are pulling up some psychic abilities to keep Jiren contained. They're using an advanced form of spirit fission from afar, where so that they can drain him better of his power. They use some magic to enhance the ability, so they're able to drain his power from afar, further weakening him. And Goku ends up joining the fray. Goku and Goten join the fray with Broly and Granola not that far behind. Ooh, sorry. And here, basically all of Universe 7 is here to join the battle. Now, Jiren is definitely getting pissed, and he's picking people off one by one. He ends up sending Goten flying out of the ring when he ends up grabbing him by the face and launching him out. Soon after that is Tarble. He's quick to follow, and now it's mainly just the God Key fighters. But he ends up zooming past everyone for a brief second, where Gohan has to take a bit of a breather. Him and Piccolo aren't so practiced in these new forms of theirs, and taking advantage of this, Jiren charges forward. He charges past everyone. He grabs both Videl and Chi-Chi by the face, and it's definitely a little difficult with the fact that these transformations make them a little larger and give them more physical stature. So it's definitely a little bit hard to maneuver them, but he does end up trying to toss them out of the ring. They make some key platforms to try to keep themselves in and to bypass the no flying rule, but he ends up glaring at them using that ki eye thing. He begins bombarding them with strikes, and they're eventually sent flying out of the ring. Gohan and Goku are kind of pissed. They burst into their Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan states, Rose and Blue respectively, and stack their Kaioken as high as it can go. up to about 100 times Super Kaioken level 2, and they burst forward and they try to launch a full power Kamehameha, which does actually end up landing, and it begins blasting him out of the arena. He tries to form a similar key barrier for him to stand on that he can keep in midair, but Raditz ends up charging past the beam that Goku and Gohan are firing in his blue evolution state, and he tackles. He ends up tackling Jiren, breaking through the key barrier he set up, and the two of them are sent with the blast out into the void. And Universe 7 ends up getting the wish. They kind of consider both. They kind of consider the remaining three of Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo to kind of be the MVPs in terms of how powerful they were. But they kind of just settle it with a brief game of rock paper scissors. They're much too tired. Maybe in another circumstance, they would have ended it with a climactic battle between the three. But here they're much too tired, so they just settle it with rock paper scissors. Piccolo makes the wish to restore everyone, to restore all of the planets, and or all of the universes that were destroyed. All of the universes are resurrected, and yeah, everyone goes back to they go back to their lives. End of the Tournament of Power. After that, we would get into the normally we would get into the events of the Broly movie, but that doesn't need to happen. If we were to get into the events of the Moro arc, with Force Spirit Fission being a much more common technique, when they arrive on Earth to get some backup. Here, instead of arriving on Earth for Majin Buu, Beerus is actually kind of confident, but he does explain the abilities of Moro to Raditz and to Raditz, Broly, Granola, and Tarble, and he's like, "Oh, well, we can just use that technique that Kakarot knows." And they just go to retrieve Kakarot, or even Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi and Videl actually decide to come. They kind of want to step up after they weren't able to do as much as they wanted in the Tournament of Power. And facing off against Moreau is an absolute cakewalk. With the two of them having access to Force Spirit Fission, they're able to separate any energy he tries to steal. They're able to restore all the lives of the Namekians, and they actually end up performing. Chi-Chi ended up learning the Mafu buff from Goku and was able to perform it similar to how he did. She just transmutes some nearby, or maybe Mirrors is able to briefly make it for them. They end up sealing him away in a container, and then they put him in an even more secure. They put him in a super secure vault, and maybe they even just straight up take him to Whis and Beerus to be properly put away on Beerus's planet, so that he can't be ever. He can't. There's like not even going to be a chance of him being rescued. And Moreau is taken care of with absolute ease. Raditz, though, has actually decided to take a brief leave of absence from the Galactic Patrol. Granola himself has been trying to learn that same technique of Ultra Instinct that Goku used, and Goku himself has been working on Ultra Instinct, has decided to abandon implementing God Ki into Super Saiyan 4, at least for now. He wants to get a better handle on the nature of this technique, and he decides why not to go back. He actually ends up going back to Roshi. He consults him on some advice for a bit. It's been a while since they've properly been able to talk in regards to training. They've definitely had their moments together, their get-togethers, all of Pan's birthdays, and all of these recent celebrations. But it's been a while since he's been able to sit down with his old master and the second father figure that he had outside of Grandpa Gohan. So he ends up helping him. He gives him a bit of clarity, and he explains, well, it's clear that Goku isn't exactly the kind of person to let go of his emotions. If anything, he should embrace them. Embrace everything that he is. It's what he's been doing from the beginning. He shouldn't stop. He should just find a new way of doing it. A way of embracing this new nature of Ultra Instinct, as he calls it, as well as the nature of Son Goku, of Kakarot. It's his choice, though, and he knows he'll find his way. Gohan would be so proud of him. Goku has a little bit of tears in his eyes, and they have a nice little moment together before he decides to go back to his training. Gohan has actually managed to learn how to evolve Super Saiyan Rose. He learned that instead. He noticed that with Super Saiyan Blue, it kind of seemed to be stagnant. You couldn't really merge it with Super Saiyan 2 or 3, but with Rose, it was much more natural. Super Saiyan Blue had to be forcefully evolved. It had to have its limits broken in a different way from the normal Super Saiyan transformations. At least that's how it seemed for now. They still didn't really know how far it could develop. But with him and his Rose state, it was much more easy. He was able to unlock an equivalent to Super Saiyan 2 and 3, and he was on the road to unlocking an equivalent for Super Saiyan 4. He wasn't quite sure what it would end up leading him towards, but he was confident that it would be the power that he would be proud of settling down with. And from here, no Granola arc, no battle against Gas. He's already been taken care of, and we actually jump to the events of Superhero. Now here, Gammas 1 and 2 are going to be probably much more formidable, but the second that the Red Ribbon Army ends up like making themselves a little bit more known, they're going to be easily taken care of. Cell Max might be much more powerful due to having all these DNA samples from everyone being present, but he's not going to be perfected. Piccolo is still able to infiltrate. It's been a while since he gotten down into the field outside of the tournaments, so he ends up going into the field. He infiltrates the Red Ribbon Army, and when he tells Gohan, he actually ends up joining him. He briefly takes off a day. He's actually settled down as a professor at a university after properly publishing his manuscript. And he's kind of, sort of, in a place where he's a university professor and a martial arts instructor. Um, he's decided to join Videl in being a martial arts instructor at the new Satan Castle, which is actually rebranded as the new Demon Castle. A little bit of an homage to sorry, a little bit of an homage to his time under Piccolo. But either way, Cell Max is going to be dealt with much more easily. Um, if Gohan does awaken a Beast power, instead of going into Beast, he's actually going to go into a Super Saiyan 4 Rose or a Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4, something along those lines, where he finally merges God Ki with his Super Saiyan 4, and he's able to take down Cell Max similarly with a Mankaku Sappo. Cell Max can actually be much more dangerous, since instead of just only relying on Ki, he actually ends up lashing out with magic, and it's very, very dangerous. He's accidentally transmuting matter. He's messing with people's ability to use their Ki, and he actually instead Pan herself is like one of the only ones immune because of her great magical potential and Ki power. So she's actually able to blitz through she's actually able to keep herself safe, but she is still in danger from the physical threat that Cell Max poses. So Gohan still roids out, he rages out. Orange Piccolo isn't actually taken down, but he is in a very bad state. He's mostly been focusing on protecting Videl and Pan, who are definitely out of their league against such an opponent, despite how much it kind of nettles Videl. And but Gohan does end up, he roids out like he does in the movie. It's more of a pinkish red color. Maybe his fur is like a pinkish scarlet, and so is his hair. Like I always thought like Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 would look like something Goku Black would have. So he's gonna unlock that form, and he pulls out the Makanko Sappo, and he completely obliterates his head. Meanwhile, on Beerus' planet, it's actually Goku, Granola, Raditz, and Broly who have been training. The four of them have been training. Broly has been making use of his full power Super Saiyan 4 state, whereas Raditz has shown off the fruits of his training under Beerus. He's been looking for his own path to power, and he decided to train with Beerus. And he's shown off his Ultra Ego, whereas Goku has shown off his true Ultra Instinct in Super Saiyan 4, finally enabling himself to use God Ki in Super Saiyan 4. It doesn't change much in his Super Saiyan 4 state. He looks like it normally, except that his fur is all completely black, with that tint of silver to it. He hasn't completely mastered this state, but he calls this his true Ultra Instinct, whereas Granola himself has completely silver hair, and his eyes are kind of like silver with a bit of a reddish hue, or maybe his very pupils themselves are red. His iris is silver, but his pupil stays that same solid crimson, and he calls this his own mastered Ultra Instinct. And the four of them are facing off against one another. And Beerus is definitely elated. He can even sense that very powerful spiking God Ki, and he decides to jump into the training himself. He doesn't want to let all of these mortals surpass him. He's not going to make it easy on them. He wants the fight of his life, but he doesn't want it to be his last one. Who the hell says he can't have more than just one fight of his life? And this is where we're actually going to end. A year later is where we get the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament, the 10-year later time skip where we have that final episode of Z. And instead of leaving with Oob, everyone actually meets up near the end of the tournament. They have some fun. The human Z fighters decide to participate. They return as each reigning champions and finalists, and they face off against one another. And Goku actually decides to join. He faces off against all of his old friends, and yeah, we end up ending this series. I know it might have seemed like I rushed it a little bit, but yeah, it's mainly just because I guess we don't have the future stuff to worry about, so it makes everything seem a lot smoother. But yeah, we end things there. That is the end of this series. If you liked it, let me know what you did and didn't like. Let me know what you think I should have or should not have changed. What things you think worked and what didn't, and what ideas you have for a possible what if series that I can do in the future. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Hit that notification bell to keep up to date with new updates and posts. And give me your criticism, as I mentioned before. I want to improve in any way that I can, but if you're just going to be a dick, go find something else to do. I'm sure there will be something you enjoy more than just being an ass. And yeah, that'll be the end of it. I will see all of you later. Goodbye.